Chapter 7. Who is she? Rini wondered. I've never seen her before. She ran down the hall with Greta close behind her. The girl spun the combination lock on Rini's locker, tugged on it, then gave it a hard yank. What are you doing? Rini demanded breathlessly as she rushed up to the girl. That's my locker? Huh? The girl glanced up, confused. That's my locker? Rini repeated. Greta stood beside her. Both of them stared at the girl. She had auburn hair that fell past her shoulders, and a light smattering of freckles on her cheeks and nose. Oh, the girl replied, embarrassed. No wonder it wouldn't open. She offered a shy smile. I'm sorry, really. I'm new. This is my first day here. I thought this was the locker they assigned me at the office. What number did they give you? Rini asked. The newcomer pulled out a slip of paper from her purse. 89. That's my locker number, Rini said. The girl handed Rini the slip of paper. The secretary wrote it down. Rini and Greta studied the little square of paper. That's not 89, Greta exclaimed. It's B9. You're right, Rini agreed. The B lockers are around the corner? The girl blushed. This is really embarrassing. Hey, no problem, Rini insisted. You just read it wrong. No big deal. Sorry I yelled at you like that. I've made a lot more embarrassing mistakes, Greta told her. Ask me about the time I went into the boys' locker room. They all laughed. My name's Rini, and this is Greta. I'm Liz. They smiled and nodded at one another. Then they stood awkwardly, trying to figure out what to say next. Rini saw a boy standing across the hall, watching but not saying anything. She realized he'd been there the whole time. That's my brother PJ, Liz explained. PJ took a step closer to the others. He's as pale as Sean, Rini thought, and about as tall, but he's so thin and kind of frail. Hey, PJ grunted, gazing down at his shoes. Whoa, Rini thought, this guy seems totally lost. He had freckles like his sister's, but not the auburn hair. His was ordinary brown. When he finally glanced up at her, Rini saw that his eyes were a deep mossy green. His eyes are beautiful, Rini thought. Too bad he spends most of his time staring at the ground. Where's your homeroom? Greta asked PJ. He pulled a folded-up class schedule out of his jeans pocket. English with Mr. Meade. Want me to show you where it is? Greta offered, smiling warmly. I had Meade last year. He's great if you don't mind a lot of reading. Thanks, PJ mumbled. Reading is just about all he ever does, Liz teased. Me too, Greta replied. If you count Glamour and Vogue, Rini exclaimed. They laughed again, everyone but PJ. Rini glanced at her watch. Oh wow, it's almost time for first period. I'd better get my books. Liz, I'll show you where your locker is if you want to hang on for a sec. Okay, Liz answered. I could use the help. I'm still a little lost. Rini worked on the combination too quickly and had to do it again. 5, 9, 2. The lock opened with a click. She tugged on the door. Stuck. She pulled harder. Still stuck. What's going on? She thought. Why won't it open? Liz asked. And then it did open. The door swung open, nearly pushing Rini to the wall. Liz cried out and jumped back. Rini screamed. Chapter 8. A hand reached out of the locker. Then another hand. They reached for Rini's throat. Rini shook her head. I don't believe this. Don't you guys ever give up? Ty was crammed inside her locker, his back pressed against one side, his knees jammed against the other. Rini couldn't believe he had squeezed into such a small space. What took you so long? He asked, breathing hard. He pulled himself from her locker. I was dying in there. You know, Ty, I'm getting really sick of these dumb jokes. What if you got stuck? Rini demanded. What if you suffocated before I opened the door? Air can get in through those little slits, Ty explained. I really scared you that time, didn't I? I had to try Sean's trick since it didn't work at your house. You were scared. Come on, admit it. Rini couldn't help smiling. Ty sounded so excited. I was startled, not scared, she told him, just like last time. Scared is when you're walking alone at night and you hear footsteps behind you. Scared is when you're in a room all by yourself and you feel cold fingers on the back of your neck, Greta suggested. Yeah, Rini agreed. That's scared. When something surprises you, you're just startled. Scared is a lot more serious. And it lasts a lot longer, Greta added. Ty raised his hands in surrender. Okay, I give. You were only startled. How did you get in there? Greta demanded. But Ty didn't answer, his eyes fixed on something down the hall. No, Rini realized. Not something down the hall. Liz. We forgot all about her. Liz stood quietly off to the side with her brother. Ty seemed unable to take his eyes off her. This is Ty? He's not really crazy. He acted perfectly normal until he started hanging around with us, Rini explained. Then he got addicted to our stupid practical jokes. We're always playing dead, trying to scare each other to death. Sick, right? Definitely sick, Liz replied. She turned to Ty. I'm Liz, and that's my brother PJ. We're new at Shadyside. PJ lowered his gaze and didn't say anything. I'm new too, Ty replied. I started at Shadyside this fall. How do you like it? Liz asked. It's okay. I met these guys right off. He gestured to Rini and Greta. We hang out a lot. We have a pretty good time. It's a little weird the first day at a new school, Liz admitted. You get all turned around. I even tried to get into Rini's locker by mistake. Ty kept staring at Liz. He seemed to have forgotten the rest of them. I guess all those girls who hoped Ty would finally notice them are going to be disappointed, Rini thought. One glance at Liz and he's gone. If you want, I can show you around, Ty offered. Okay, Liz replied. You can show me where my locker is, so Rini won't have to bother. What was the number again? Ty asked. B9. It's this way. Liz and Ty hurried off down the hall, their heads close together. Come on, Greta said to PJ. I'll show you where your homeroom is. PJ didn't seem to hear her. He stared after his sister and Ty, his green eyes wide and unblinking, his mouth slack, his breathing suddenly rapid and shallow. PJ, you okay? Rini asked. PJ blinked and snapped his mouth closed. Then he lunged past Rini and tore down the hall after his sister. Rini jumped back to get out of his way, dropping her books. She banged hard against the lockers. Rini, are you all right? Greta cried. I think so, she answered, staring after PJ. He wove down the crowded hall, pushing people out of his way. Hey, someone yelled, watch it. Greta helped Rini collect her books. What was that about? Greta asked. Rini wondered the same thing. Chapter 9. Do you see who Quirky Kokorin is with? Rini exclaimed. Ricky Shore? Greta leaned over Rini's shoulder and peered through the windshield. Where? Rini pointed to a booth in the burger basket. They're sitting over by the window? I think they make a cute couple, Greta commented. She reached over the back seat and grabbed a handful of french fries from Sean. How could Ricky Shore be part of a cute anything? Rini demanded. Sometimes I think there is something seriously wrong with you, Greta. I know there is something seriously wrong with both of you, Sean joked. Can't you think of something more fun to do? Even our trig assignment is more exciting than this. Rini rolled her eyes at Greta. Sean could never understand why they liked hanging out in Sean's car in the Burger Basket parking lot, listening to the radio and watching people go in and out. Rini stuck a french fry in Sean's mouth. You know how much grease is in these things? Greta asked. She grabbed another french fry from Sean. Rini smiled. Greta always refused to buy french fries because they were so fattening. Then she ate half of theirs. No, Sean replied. How much? Too much, Greta answered. That's what makes them taste so good, Sean replied. Without grease, they taste like paper. Rini spotted a girl with reddish-brown hair hurrying out of the restaurant. Is that Liz? Rini asked. The girl turned and headed across the parking lot. No, Rini said, answering her own question. Only someone with the same hair color? I kind of like Liz, Greta commented. Me too, Rini agreed. She's lots of fun. We went to the mall last weekend. They had Scarlett O'Hara-type bridesmaids' dresses in the window of the bridal boutique, with hoop skirts and parasols and everything, and Liz insisted we try them on. And why wasn't I invited? Greta demanded. You and Artie had plans, Rini told her. Liz made up a story for the sales clerk about how her cousin in Georgia was getting married. She even took down the style numbers and asked about getting shoes dyed to match. You know who else likes Liz? Greta asked. Ty. Whenever Liz is around, Ty gets a really weird expression on his face, like he's about to melt or something. Sean chuckled. I noticed him standing outside fourth period math class today, acting real casual, but he kept checking the door. As soon as Liz came out, he walked up to her as if he just happened to be passing by. Think Ty is finally going to ask someone out after all these months? Greta wondered. I bet he's working up to it, Rini replied. I think they would make a great couple, Greta declared. They really are perfect for each other. Rini shook her head. Greta loved trying to predict who would become a couple and who would break up. What if Chris and Natalie got together, she'd ask. Or Gary and Randy. It's hard to believe Liz and PJ are related, Rini commented. Liz is so cool, and he's kind of weird. Definitely, Sean agreed. He's not that weird, Greta replied. I think he's cute. Rini made a face. Yeah, but you think Ricky Shore is cute too? PJ always acts as if he's sick or something, Sean said, like he's about to faint. I've tried to talk to him, Rini told them, but all he says is yes or no in that low grunt of his. He always seems scared or something. He's shy, Greta said. What's wrong with that? He's new in town, at a new school, and he doesn't know anybody. I've talked to him, and I think he's nice. Smart, too. Does Artie know he's got competition? Sean teased. Rini knew Sean was kidding, but Greta answered seriously. I like PJ, that's all. I mean, I don't, well... Whoa, check it out, Sean teased. Greta is blushing. She couldn't possibly be interested in a strange guy like PJ, Rini thought. Could she? It was true that lately Artie and Greta had been fighting all the time. Greta tapped Rini on the shoulder and pointed to a green car. Lily Bancroft and Pete Goodwin. I never thought I'd see them together. Try to change the subject? Sean asked. Greta didn't answer him. Where do PJ and Liz live? Rini asked. They looked at one another. No one knew. What do their parents do? How come they moved in the middle of the year? Sean asked. No one knew that either. A horn blared as a shiny red car pulled up beside them. The driver revved the engine. Cool car, Sean observed. Sounds like a V6 that somebody has done a lot of work on. I'll bet it can really move. It's Mark Bentley, Greta said sourly. And Artie. Artie rode shotgun. He rolled down the window. Yo, how's it going? How do you like Mark's new wheels? Nice, Sean said. What's it got? V6 with high lift cam, oversized valves, and high compression heads, Artie bragged. Wow, Sean sounded impressed. Mark climbed out of the car. Come on, I'll give you a ride. He grinned at Rini. Mark is really good looking, Rini thought. He wore his dark brown hair in a ponytail, and she liked the faint scar that ran partway across his forehead and through his left eyebrow. It made him appear a little dangerous, and older, different from the other high school guys. Count me out, Greta insisted. Rini shook her head. I've got to get home, it's late. Sean glanced at Rini and Greta, then at Mark and Artie. You don't want to go with them, do you? Rini whispered. I wouldn't mind seeing how that car runs, Sean answered. Let's go, Artie called excitedly. We'll show you what this car can do. Hey, no big deal. We'll just go around the block, Mark promised. Yeah, just around the block, Artie echoed. You've got to ride in this car at least once. It's really awesome. Rini and Greta exchanged stares. Greta shrugged and nodded. All right, just around the block. Okay, Sean told them. Let's go. Rini knew that Greta didn't want Artie hanging around Mark. She must think Artie will get in less trouble if she's with him, Rini thought. Climb in, Mark instructed. It'll be a tight squeeze, but you can make it. They crammed themselves into the back seat. You guys ready for a ride in a real car? Mark asked. He peeled out of the Burger Basket parking lot, the engine roaring. Artie turned around. Moves, doesn't it? Mark stopped at a red light. A white Mustang pulled up beside them. It had dark windows that made it impossible to see who was inside. Mark revved the engine, challenging the Mustang. The Mustang's driver responded by revving his own engine. Challenge accepted. Let's not, Greta urged. It's... Before she could finish, the light turned green and both cars roared forward, tires squealing. Mark's car immediately pulled ahead of the Mustang, widening the gap as it sped down the block. Yes! Artie yelled, shaking both fists in the air. He's really getting into this, Rini thought. She squeezed against Sean's arm. Mark raced through the next light as it turned from yellow to red. Whoa, Greta shouted. Slow down before you get us all killed. Sean leaned forward. Cool it, Mark, okay? Mark glanced back at his passengers. What a bunch of wimps. Artie didn't say anything. Want to have some fun? Mark asked. I want to go back, Greta told him, but Mark turned onto Park Drive, going south, away from the Burger Basket. I want to show you something, he said, his eyes straight ahead. Slow down, Sean urged. You're going to get stopped. Mark sped through the Park Drive traffic circle. They zoomed past St. Paul's Church. Rini watched the street signs. Bank Street, Hawthorne Drive. What's going on, she wondered. Why is he heading for Fear Street? Mark, give us a break. Take us back, Rini pleaded. This will only take a minute, Mark insisted. It will be fun, I promise. Fun for Mark, Rini thought. He turned right onto Fear Street. A tingly, uneasy feeling settled into Rini's stomach. Fear Street had a reputation, a place to be avoided, a place where weird things happened. Branches intertwined above the street as if the trees on each side were clinging to each other. I'm being silly, Rini told herself. It's just a street. Big deal. But something inside her disagreed. You don't believe all those dumb stories about Fear Street, do you? Mark asked. Some bad things have happened here, Greta said softly. I saw a story about them on TV. They fell silent. Good, Rini thought. She didn't want to hear about all the strange murders and disappearances. Mark turned left. He seemed to be heading right into the Fear Street woods. You can't drive through here, Greta yelled. It's only an old bike path or something. The car bumped along the uneven ground. What are you doing? Sean demanded. You'll see, Mark replied. Yeah, you'll see, Artie echoed. Fear Lake was not a place Renee wanted to go at night with Mark Bentley. She promised herself she would never ride with him again, anywhere, ever. Mark pulled onto a narrow dirt road that circled the lake. The engine growled powerfully as the car started up a hill. Renee stared out the window at the woods. The trees appeared lifeless, dead stalks sticking out through the snow. Mark pulled to a stop when they reached the crest of the hill. Renee knew this spot. They were high above the frozen lake. A short distance to the left stretched a steep drop-off. Come on, Mark urged, climbing out of the car. Let's have some fun. Artie leaped out and slammed the door. Renee, Sean, and Greta hesitated, then reluctantly joined Mark and Artie. This way. Mark led them through the leafless trees, snow crunching beneath their feet. The moon shone full and bright. Renee had no trouble seeing where they were going. Mark stopped. This is the place. They stood at the edge of a sheer drop-off. Below them, the lake's frozen, snow-drifted surface glowed an eerie silver in the moonlight. You've got to get right up to the edge, Mark explained. He stepped to within a few inches of the drop-off and peered down. It made Renee feel jittery just watching him. There it is, Mark announced. The snow-covered ground was slippery. Renee had no intention of getting that close to the edge. Sean and Greta stayed back beside her. You can't see it unless you get closer, Mark insisted. Come on, guys. There's nothing to be scared of. And then his foot slipped. His arms circled frantically as he fought for balance. But there was nothing for him to grab except the frosty night air. His feet slid off the edge. Artie reached for him. Too late. Mark screamed as he plunged from sight. Chapter 10. Mark! Artie wailed. Mark! 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 He repeated his name in a shrill, frantic chant. Renee froze in horror. This isn't happening, she thought. Mark didn't just fall over the edge. But the others were screaming and crying, their faces twisted in surprise and panic. It did happen, Renee realized. But he's okay. He's got to be okay. Trembling in terror, seeing Mark fall again and again, hearing his scream repeat in her ears, Renee didn't realize that she had moved, had stepped forward, had stepped to the edge. To see down? To see that Mark was okay? She didn't realize she had moved, until she felt the ground crumble beneath her, until she saw a rock break off and fall, until she felt herself start to slide. She heard the sharp cries of her friends, but they sounded so far away now, for she was falling, sliding and tumbling down the snowy hillside. She could still hear their cries as she hit the icy surface of Fear Lake. Oh! She let out a cry as she landed on her back with a thud. It knocked the breath out of her. She struggled to gasp in air. She tossed up her hands as she slid across the ice, slid out onto the frozen lake. Her heart pounding, her breath coming in short, wheezing pants, Renee pushed herself up. The ice felt firm beneath her shoes. She raised her eyes to the hill and saw Sean and the others running down, slipping, tumbling, calling to her. She cupped her hands around her mouth. I'm okay, she called back. Was she trembling? No. The ice beneath her quivered. A crack rang out, shattering the stillness of the winter night. The ice is thin, she realized. Renee held perfectly still. If I move very slowly and carefully, I can edge my way over to the shore. She slid her left foot forward, struggling to keep her balance. She exhaled. So far, so good. Keep moving. She dragged her right foot up beside the left. She stopped and heard Sean's frantic voice. Renee, stop! Startled, she jerked her head up, lost her balance, and fell onto the ice. Renee's hips smashed against the hard surface. She let out a small moan of pain. Then she heard another crack, louder this time, closer. The ice beneath her gave way with a groan. She slid into the freezing black water. Renee shot up her hands, reached out, struggled to grab something, anything. She grabbed the edge of the hole, but the ice broke under her fingers. Hands still grasping, she felt herself being pulled down, swallowed up by the lake. She went under. The frozen water shocked her body. She thrashed her arms, trying to pull herself back up to the surface. Up, up. She struggled to pull herself up, but her head hit the underside of the ice. I can't breathe, she realized. She pounded on the ice with her fists, clawed at it. Where is the hole, she asked herself. Where is the hole I fell through? Where? She couldn't find it. I'm trapped under the ice. Her last thought before the blackness engulfed her. Chapter 11. I can't breathe. Renee gasped for air. She choked, coughed up water. Renee could hear Sean's voice. He sounded so far away. "You're all right, Renee," Sean was saying. "You're all right." She opened her eyes and found Sean leaning over her, his face inches from hers. I thought you had drowned." Sean's voice shook. "Sean saved you," Greta explained. "He reached in and pulled you out. Then he gave you mouth to mouth." "That was the fun part," Sean joked. But Renee noticed his voice still didn't sound quite steady. Renee forced herself to sit up. "What happened to Mark? Is he okay?" "I'm right here," a low voice from behind her. Renee turned, and pain jarred her temples. Mark met her gaze. "Sorry," he muttered. "It was just a dumb joke." "And Artie helped him plan it," Greta chimed in angrily. "He told Mark about the jokes we play on each other, and they planned the whole thing." "Hey, come on, guys! We didn't mean for anyone to get hurt," Artie insisted. "Mark and I go down that hill all the time, just for fun. It's like a big snowslide. When Mark faked that fall, he just slid to the bottom." Artie turned to Greta. "We never slid that far out on the ice. Really, I don't know what happened." His voice trailed off. "Can you stand up?" Sean asked Renee. Renee groaned. "I'll try." Sean grabbed her hands and slowly pulled her to her feet. Renee's legs trembled, but she kept her balance. "Give me your coats," Sean ordered the others. "Renee is freezing." Sean yanked off his own coat and wrapped it around her. Then he layered the other coats on top. A shudder shook Renee's whole body. She couldn't feel her hands and feet, totally numb. Sean wrapped his arm around her waist. "Let's get you home so you can get into some dry clothes and warm up." Greta hurried to Renee's other side and grabbed her arm. "Wow, I'm glad you're okay. I was really scared," Greta told her. "Follow me," Artie said. "There's a place over here where we can climb back up." Renee's teeth were chattering by the time she reached the car. Mark cranked the heater up full blast, but she couldn't stop shivering. "I had the strongest feeling that something bad would happen if we kept playing the dumb jokes on each other," Renee remembered. "Sure enough, something bad happened to me. Now, is this the end of it?" "Sean called to you because he knew if you kept trying to walk, the ice would crack," Greta told Rena in the cafeteria the next day. "When you fell, he got flat on the ice. Then he sort of wiggled and slid himself up to the hole so he could reach in and grab you." Greta shivered. "I was so scared, and we couldn't help him. We were afraid the ice would break if we got too close." Renee took a bite of salad. "I can hardly believe it really happened," she told Greta. "Well, it did, and it was Artie's fault." Renee saw Sean with his lunch tray. She waved and pointed to the empty seat across from her. "Artie had no way of knowing I'd slip and fall," she reminded her friend. Sean slid into the spot next to Greta. "It was still a horrible thing to do," Greta insisted. "What?" Sean asked. He scooped up a forkful of bright orange macaroni and cheese. "Greta's furious at Artie for what happened yesterday," Renee replied. "It was an accident," Sean protested. Greta leaped to her feet. "I'm going to get an ice cream bar," Greta announced. "I'll be right back." She must be really upset, Renee thought. Greta hardly ever ate dessert, but when she felt bad, she always headed for chocolate. "What's her problem?" Sean asked. "She and Artie are always fighting," Renee told him. "She hates the way he acts when he hangs out with Mark Bentley. She's afraid Artie might drop out of school and get a job where Mark works." "Could happen, I guess. Artie's family needs cash right now, but Artie hasn't mentioned dropping out to me." Sean shoveled in more of the macaroni and cheese. Renee played with her salad, pushing the celery and carrots into separate piles with her fork. She wasn't hungry. She kept remembering the panic she felt when she struggled to the surface of Fear Lake and hit the wall of ice. She couldn't force it from her mind. Renee glanced up at Sean and found him staring over her shoulder with an odd expression on his face. "Check it out," he murmured. Renee turned and scanned the room. At first she couldn't figure out what Sean wanted her to see. Then she saw Greta and PJ standing close together at the back of the lunchroom. So engrossed in conversation, they seemed unaware of anything but each other. Sean turned back to Renee. "I don't believe it," he whispered. "Greta and PJ. Is that a weird couple or what?" "She likes weird guys. What can I say?" Renee risked another quick peek at Greta and PJ. Greta was laughing hard, and PJ appeared pleased with himself. "I think Artie and Greta will make up," Renee declared. "They've been going together forever." "Maybe," Sean agreed. "But Artie is not going to be too happy if he finds Greta flirting with another guy." "Uh-oh," Renee whispered. "I think he knows." She nodded toward the big double doors at the front of the cafeteria. Artie stood there, glaring across the room at Greta and PJ, his hands clenched into fists, his face taut with anger. Rini raised a hand to her mouth as she watched Artie lurch toward Greta and PJ. Please, don't do anything stupid, Rini silently begged. Chapter 12. I've got to stop him, Sean told her. He jumped to his feet and hurried over to Artie. Rini kept her eyes on Greta. Greta hadn't noticed Artie yet. She tenderly brushed a lock of hair off PJ's forehead and smiled at him. Rini turned back toward Artie. Sean appeared to be calming Artie down. Artie's hands relaxed at his sides. His face returned to its usual color. Then Sean slapped him on the shoulder, and Artie whirled around and stalked out the double doors of the cafeteria. Sean knew exactly what to say to him, Rini thought, but I'll bet Greta and Artie will have a huge fight the next time they are together. I hope I'm not around to watch it. I thought Artie was going to go ballistic, Sean exclaimed as he sat back down across from Rini. I told him he looked like a jerk if he got into a fight in the lunchroom. Wow, he looked scary, Rini said. I wouldn't want Artie mad at me. The bell rang, and Sean chugged the rest of his soda. Remember, I can't drive you home today, he told her. I have a chess club meeting. Not exactly walking weather, Rini thought after her last class. Dark and wet out. It will probably snow before I make it home. She wandered over to the student parking lot, hoping she could find someone to give her a ride. Rini gasped as she felt a cold, damp hand squeeze her neck. She spun around and found Liz grinning at her. Sorry, I couldn't resist, Liz told her. Aren't you freezing? Rini demanded. Every button on Liz's coat was open, and she wasn't wearing a sweater, only a thin blouse. No, Liz answered. I love the cold. Rini hated gray winter days. They seemed to wash the color out of everything. Everything except Liz's hair, Rini noticed. I'd kill for hair like that, she thought. All those coppery highlights. I heard what happened to you yesterday, Liz exclaimed. Wow, scary. Really scary? Rini declared. How are you and PJ doing at Shadyside? She asked, changing the subject. She didn't want to think about the accident. Great, Liz answered. It's hard to believe I didn't know anyone but PJ a month ago. Rini found it hard to believe, too. Liz had become a good friend. Rini felt as though she had known Liz for much longer than a month. Well, I guess PJ's not exactly doing so great, Liz confessed. He's so awkward and shy. It's hard for him to approach people. I've noticed, Rini commented. It's not really PJ's fault, you know, Liz said. Not sure what to say, Rini didn't respond. They started across the parking lot, slipping between a Jeep and an old Chevy. PJ's not well, Liz went on. What's wrong with him? He's frail. He can't do physical things. Maybe he should work out or something, build up his strength, Rini suggested. You don't understand. He's got a heart murmur. He can't work out or anything like that. He's excused from PE. How serious is it? He's okay as long as he doesn't do physical stuff. Rini felt guilty for all the mean things she had been thinking about PJ. She decided to try to make him feel more welcome at Shadyside High. Greta and PJ seem to have a lot to talk about, Rini observed. I wish you would ask her out, but I'm afraid he's too shy. He's never worked up the courage to ask any girl out. He's never gone out with a girl, ever? Rini asked, surprised. Never, but don't tell anyone, okay? PJ would be really bummed if it got around. I won't, Rini promised. I think it would be great for PJ to go out with someone, Rini continued slowly. But Greta's still going with Artie, so... Rini heard footsteps behind her and turned around. She found Ty hurrying to catch up to them. Hey, where are you guys headed? He called breathlessly. Nowhere special, Liz replied. Ty has a car, Rini remembered. At last, a ride. Liz, Ty hesitated. Uh-huh. Could I ask you something? Oh no, Rini thought. Ty's finally decided to ask Liz out, and I'm standing here like her chaperone. She checked her watch. Listen, you guys, I've got to run. I'll catch you later, okay? Okay, Liz replied. See you tomorrow. Later, Ty said. Rini moved deeper into the parking lot. It's emptying out fast, she thought. Isn't there anyone here I can catch a ride with? A red car squealed to a stop in front of her. Mark Bentley's red car. I'd rather freeze to death, Rini told herself. Artie rolled down the window. Rini, yo, look what I'm driving. Need a ride? No thanks, Rini called. Even without Mark behind the wheel, she didn't want another ride in the red car. I think I'm going to walk. I need the exercise. It's going to storm, Artie warned. A gust of wind sent freezing air down the back of her coat collar. She shivered, the chill reminding her of last night, the frigid water of Fear Lake, knowing she was going to drown. "Hop in," Artie urged. Rini glanced around the parking lot. "Artie's my only chance for a ride." "Okay," Rini answered reluctantly. She climbed in. "Where's Greta this afternoon?" Rini asked. Artie scowled. Dumb question, she thought. Dumb, dumb, dumb. "She brought her own car today," Artie replied through clenched teeth. He peeled out of the exit and roared away from the school. I wish I'd known that, Rini thought. I could have ridden home with her. Rini realized she'd barely spoken to Greta the entire day, just those few minutes in the cafeteria. Artie pushed down on the gas. Rini made sure her seatbelt was fastened properly. Artie's driving made her nervous. Artie pulled to a stop in front of a red light. "Hey, Rini!" "What?" "Last night, I didn't mean for you to fall." Rini sighed. "I know. I wanted to go out on the ice with Sean, help pull you up, but we thought the ice might break some more." "I know that, Artie." "Good. Watch this." The light turned green. Artie floored the gas pedal. The tires squealed as the powerful car shot forward. "Artie, don't." "It's okay, Rini," Artie yelled. "I drive a lot better than Mark." Artie sped down the road into another intersection. Horns blared. Tires squealed. "Look out!" Rini shrieked.